Hello, I'm Alfie, and welcome to GOtrip. Although none of us in the team actually managed to get into the Australia-New Zealand field test, we've been in close contact with a couple of beta testers in the area who did, and with the help of some fine folks on the Pokémon GO subreddit, we're looking to put together a comprehensive guide of everything we know about the state of the game so far, especially with regards to Australia. Now, just to note, we haven't received a complete set of data from every location we're after just yet, but this will improve over the next couple of weeks hopefully, and then we'll be able to debrief a bit more in depth. So the two things we want to report on are locational variants and climatic variants. The first being biomes and such, as in where types will spawn, so Magikarps near water, grass types in fields. The second being the context of the biome, so weather, temperature, humidity, and tropicality, if that's a word. So this is not only affected by lateral position with relation to the equator, but also seasonally and macroscopically with weather conditions. We already know that there's an impressive amount of locational variance. When asked about biomes and short-range region correlation with Pokemon spawns, Reddit user Obsidian answered, yeah, it's impressive for beta as well, though I'm sure it's got a lot to improve on. Near my local lake I noticed a lot more water Pokemon, and in the city I noticed a lot of Magnemites and Rattata, and now just a couple of Spearow, which is certainly what you want to expect from Pokemon GO. Pokemon Test tells us, as for general spawns, CBD in the most dense metro areas shopping districts are predominantly Rattatas and Meowths. Botanic Gardens has them too, but also has several Weedles and Caterpies. So that correlates with what we heard from Sydney. And additionally, it's important to note that there appear to be specific places with high rates of rare Pokemon spawns. I have one on my commute. Not a specific Pokemon spawning each time, but I've had one patch of grass spawn a Ninetales, a Porygon, a Jolteon, and a Hitmonchan, all of which I've seen 1 to 0 times beforehand. I'm at 700 captures now. So another thing to note about locational variants is that there appears to be special event spawns. I quote from the same user that there are two specific places I know of here with an unnaturally large amount of rare Pokemon spawns. One is next to the Women and Children's Hospital where a lot of Dugtrios spawn, and the other is Adelaide Oval, which is a Dratini farm. I've got one Dratini in total away from Adelaide Oval and about 15 and 30 captures at the Oval. Right in the middle of the Oval is a rare spawn point that has a Rapidash, a Pinsir, and a Lickitung. So perhaps this is a precedent for larger events such as battling the Mewtwo in the trailer, or even just a way of streamlining Pokemon that wouldn't necessarily fit in a particular biome or should take more effort to acquire. Either way, it's cool. So importantly, we've seen the similarities in these regions, now what about the differences? Well, so far there don't really seem to be any. We're reporting the same kind of patterns in Adelaide and Sydney, though however it is important to note that they are laterally aligned and not too different in terms of climate, so there's insufficient data to really justify one correlation or another. However, there are reports from Kununurra, way up north, that are telling us the same thing. Don't lose hope yet though, because there is another piece of evidence that will play into this, which is weather. So from a field tester, quoting the data mine, we do need a source on this, but Pokemon GO uses weather analysis from Google Maps and Google Weather, which immediately presents 4 important figures being tracked: temperature, precipitation, humidity, and wind. So this data is pulled from weather.com, which, just to note, also tracks a whole load of other variables such as moon phase and visibility. Now, when referring to Electabuzz, user Obama's asshole quoted from the Pokédex entry, when a storm arrives, gangs of this Pokemon compete with each other to scale heights that are likely to be stricken by lightning bolts. Some towns use Electabuzz in place of lightning rods. So Pokemon GO can detect storms. And the same user quoted that in Melbourne today it was a rainy day and I for the first time came across Psyducks, Golducks, Slowbros, Poliwags, and Starmies. Electabuzzes seem to spawn in rain too. So this is very promising, especially considering that the user said the types were spotted for the first time for him. Now before we get too excited, devil's advocate time. In the Silph Road's 21 questions with a field tester, a Japan tester did quote that, so far I haven't seen a notable difference in spawns based on weather, but I've only had the games for a few weeks. So that quote was all the way back in the Japan test, but a lot of other users are not noticing differences, so maybe the reports so far are coincidental, or maybe Niantic hasn't finished tweaking yet, which to me is more likely, but make up your own mind about it and let me know your 2 cents. So this video has been pretty speculative, but it's been nice to hear people's reports and try to put together some connections. Hopefully we'll be able to put a lot more together in the next couple of weeks with field testers around the country chiming in and actually start plotting some facts. To me, the important part of today's information is finding out about the rare spawns and nests. We'll have to find out, hopefully in our next video, whether or not the same type nests occur in different cities, but if not, this is a pretty huge incentive for cross-country travel, even without climate effects, which you can imagine is pretty important for the sake of this channel, and also the guys at the Silph Road, who I need to shout out just to thank for all the holographic assets and also in general the huge support we've received from community and creators. While we're on the subject, just a heads up to Trainer Tips as well. So Nick gave us a cheeky little shout out, and on the wild off chance that you're not already following them, I seriously advise it. They're two really lovely guys doing the same sort of content as us, just based in the US. So yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. If you want to support us, you can check out our Kickstarter. We'll actually be clearing that up a bit more in the next week over video, so any questions or criticisms, even just on the content you've seen here, please fire away. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on our Pokemon GO journey.